Hi, my name is Brandon, and I'm an alcoholic and addict in recovery. Today I started rereading This Naked Mind by Annie Grace. Great book that's cited by a lot of different people in a lot of different recovery communities as being at least partially responsible for their success in long-term sobriety. It certainly has had a big impact on mine. I read this book very early in the time when I quit drinking, which was about 5 years ago. It's been a little, right around 4.5 years since I had my last drink. And the name of the book is This Naked Mind, Control Alcohol. And what she clarifies very early on is that for her, control of alcohol means control of the desire to drink at all. In fact, in the preface to the book, she says, "I drink as much as I want whenever I want. The truth is, I no longer want to drink." And so this is a book about realization of what alcohol does to her and how education about the way that alcohol works in her brain and in her body gave her the gift of the release of desire to drink. And I wanted to read a paragraph about she's describing the kind of situation she was having when she realized she needed to make some changes in her life, and a situation that we're all probably familiar with, at least those of us who have alcohol use disorders, where she wakes up in the middle of the night. She starts trying to piece together what happened the night before, and this is happening almost every day. And some nights she gets so angry or anxious about it that she has to go and have a few more drinks just to get back to sleep and calm herself down. And this is what she says about those times. "These early mornings are the only times I'm honest with myself, admitting I drink too much and need to change. It's the worst part of my day, and it's always the same, night after night. The next day, it's as if I have amnesia. I turn back into a generally happy person. I can't reconcile my misery, so I simply ignore it. If you ask me about drinking, I'll tell you I love it. It relaxes me and makes life fun. In fact, I'll be shocked if you don't drink with me. I'll wonder why on earth not. During the day, I feel in control. I'm successful and busy. The outward signs of how much I drink are practically non-existent. I am so busy that I don't leave room for honesty, questioning, and broken promises. The evening comes, the drinking starts, and the cycle continues. I am no longer in control, and the only time I am brave enough to admit it, even to myself, is alone in the dark at 3 a.m. The implications of what it could mean are terrifying. What if I have a problem? What if I'm an alcoholic? What if I am not normal? Most terrifying, what if I have to give up drinking?" And that really hit me because I know that feeling so well. The horror of the thought of, what if I have to give up drinking? What if I have to give this up? What if I have to let go of this in order to live the life that I truly want to live and be the person that I truly want to be? And I wanted to do a quick video to assure anyone who has that same feeling, anyone who's struggling with alcohol use disorder or any kind of drug use disorder and is having that feeling of terror at giving it up. I want to assure you that life without it, if you can find the support you need to give it up, life without it is not terrifying at all. If you watch these videos, you'll see one earlier in the week this week where I was having a really tough time. And I had a really tough 48 hours emotionally. And it was something, and the way that I was able to deal with it compared to the way I would have dealt with it in my addiction was beautiful. I had friends that I could reach out and talk to. I didn't have many friends in my addiction. that I could have reached or would have reached out to. I have now a relationship with my parents that I was able to reach out to them and ask their advice. And even though some of the things that they said kind of made me feel a little awkward, I was able to listen with an open mind and consider that maybe they're right. And instead of acting on, instead of immediately just dismissing their ideas, I was able to pause and sit with them. And over time realize, you know what, they may know something that I don't. And maybe I need to consider this. Those are the gifts of sobriety. And what I can tell you is the thought of giving it up when you're in the middle of your addiction is far more terrifying than the act of actually doing it. And that's one of the most insidious things about drugs and alcohol. The addiction is so in your blood, and it's so in your brain and in your soul, that the idea of giving up what you're addicted to is far more terrifying than the act of actually doing so. So I would encourage anybody who's feeling that kind of apprehension to just know that with support, with the right kind of support, which for me involved enrollment at a residential treatment center, with the right support, it is possible to give up the things that make you wake up in the morning and go, what's wrong with me? It's possible to give those things up and move into a more beautiful type of life with more rewards, without that same terror, where you're able to deal with things in a way that you never could have imagined dealing with them when your life was ruled by addiction. I'll continue reading This Naked Mind over the next few weeks. I'm really excited to do so. It's a great supplement for any program of recovery that you're working. I do believe that it's not a replacement for any program of recovery. I think these books are great supplements, but I will say they are often written in response to some perceived problems with programs like AA. Annie Grace mentioned some things in the book about certain issues she sees with AA. And I will say that there's oftentimes that I feel like sometimes people who cite issues with a certain program of recovery maybe just haven't had it explained to them in an appropriate way. The idea of powerlessness over alcohol, for example, that AA, that's really important to AA. A lot of people don't like it, but I've also heard the way other people explain it. I don't like it either. So it's just important to realize that with any of these programs, there's a lot of different ways to interpret the things that they're saying. And sometimes you just have to search for the people who are saying it the way that makes sense to you, instead of hearing it one way and dismissing it outright. So just a thought on that. Otherwise, I'm really excited to get into Annie's book, and I'll be back here tomorrow with more. In the meantime, have a good one.